Hey guys, Joe the Apple Guy here with another video this week. For those of you new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you hit like and subscribe so you get notified every time that I put out new content. For those of you returning, thank you so much for stopping by again. Now, this week, as I mentioned on my previous video, I have something a little bit special here. Recently made a non-Apple purchase, which I know sounds pretty crazy, given that I'm running an Apple channel here, but it's a product I've been looking at for a long time and been wanting to kind of get into and really kind of delve into and see what it's all about. And we are talking about these guys right here. As I put them on, I'm getting a little notification in here that they're on. It even tells me the battery level, which is currently 95%. So we're talking about the Meta Ray-Ban Wayfarer. These actually have the transition lenses. So you can see a little bit of a reflection coming off of the screen there. That's just kind of is what it is there. So one of the top things that I've been asked about these, and from friends and people I've run into, which I haven't been too many, mostly people that I know, have been asking about these, is can you really tell that these are smart glasses? When you wear them, can people kind of tell what you're kind of wearing? And as you can probably just kind of see here, I mean, from first glance, I mean, they just really look like glasses. I'm inside, so the lenses have gone nice and clear. As I mentioned, they are transition lenses, but at first glance, I think most people would probably not realize that these are smart glasses. Now, kind of once I get closer, then you can see the lens and then the indicator. Like for example, if I take a picture, you'll see the little light turn on there, and then we have the camera on this side here. And on the side, this is where kind of like the touch control is, where you can adjust the volume, and you can press that to have certain kind of things going. Just a brief second of our friends over at the South Park review there. A little shameless plug. So yeah, it's what's really interesting with these is that what Meta and what this kind of form factor is. And from watching a lot of the material, especially with Mr. Zuckerberg talking about these, is that the greater vision with these is that they essentially want these to replace this. So we're talking a form factor to replace the smartphone, which is a pretty bold idea to kind of put out there. But it's, the more that I kind of use these, the more I can kind of maybe seeing it because, I mean, this is a form factor that's done us well, since 2007. We're creeping up on 20 years now already with this form factor of device here. And with this, I gotta say, what's really interesting about it is you know, when you're out just kind of walking around, I mean, they're just like regular glasses or sunglasses. They work great and they're comfortable too. They're literally the most comfortable glasses that I've ever worn and sunglasses. So and like I said, they're transition lenses. So when I go outdoors, they tint, and I have very little eye fatigue. I even wear these when I'm using the computer quite often, and it's actually helped reduce eye fatigue down a little bit. And I can listen to music, take phone calls, I can listen to podcasts, as I mentioned. Listen to my friends over at the South Park review all the time on these now on my way to work. The speakers are kind of right here, and it kind of directs the sound into your ears. Not going to be the loudest speakers of all time, but as somebody who's been wearing AirPods for quite a long time, after wearing these, I gotta say that with the exception of the AirPod Maxes, which are still my favorite headphones because they go over my ear, I have never been the hugest fan of headphones that go inside my ear because you can just feel that there's something in there, and it's always kind of an awkward kind of feeling. Now, with something like this, you do give up any kind of noise cancellation, but people around you aren't really going to kind of hear kind of what's going on. Like I'll see if I can do it and see if you guys can hear it. So I'll queue up our boys over at the South Park. Now that's at full volume. Now you can probably hear it kind of like a little whisper. I'll kind of see that when I go to the video, and we can hear what it kind of sounds like. But yeah, most people are not going to even realize that you're listening or kind of doing anything. And what's been a really really cool thing for me is recently I went grocery shopping with these, and I can literally just say, "Hey Meta," and it's queued up. And I can look at ingredients at a grocery store or something like that and be like, hey, what can I make with these ingredients? And it'll give you a recipe to make whatever, right? Like recently, I went to get some salmon. And I'm like, oh, no.
Yes. Use the camera on your laptop to scan ingredients at a grocery store and find recipes that use those ingredients.
Meta just telling me now that yes, I can do that. Um, so yeah, I was able to just say, hey, I want to grill some salmon. What can I use to do it? And suggested all the ingredients and stuff like that. It's fantastic, and you can look at, walk by, say like a restaurant or something. Hey, is this a good place to eat? Does it get good reviews? And it'll give you that information, And what's really cool too is this is a feature that's still kind of in beta, but it's gonna be coming as a full-fledged feature soon, the live AI. So basically just queue up like you're gonna record a video, which again you can do on these as well. And you can kind of start the ball rolling with a conversation about what's going on around you, and then it'll just start recognize, like, say if you're in downtown Toronto or city like that, you're like, hey, what's kind of this place, tell you that place and kind of what it is, and as you look at other places, it's gonna essentially kind of start like the ball rolling with a conversation with you based on your surroundings and what you can do in said places or what's kind of going on there. So it becomes a very conversational. You don't have to keep asking, you know. So bringing this back around to being an Apple user, like I said, for the even for the YouTube channel here, I use nothing but Apple devices to record and edit and all that kind of stuff. This is the only non-Apple device that I'm currently kind of using, and yeah, it's the I'm impressed with Meta, what they're doing with their AI right now. It's no secret that Siri um, has been kind of a letdown. I even did a blog on recently, titled, Did Apple lie to us about Siri and AI? And I don't say that they lied. They overpromised and they underdelivered. They presented all these kind of features that were going to be kind of apparently coming soon, and then they were just not able to make those happen. It's not an easy thing to kind of do, but I mean, they just should have kind of kept it under wraps a little bit better. They even got one of the Andrea, I think his name is. It was a guy from Google that they brought over, and he wasn't able to make it happen. So they got Rockwell from over at the Apple Vision team. He's kind of taking over that and trying to right that ship and get Siri kind of going. But it's essentially all those kind of big features that they've pitched to introduce, now they've been put on the back burner for now, and so it's coming, but now we're not saying when. So, having said that, and again, now bring it back to these, like I said, what Meta is doing with their AI is absolutely fantastic. I mean, there haven't been too many questions and things that I've asked to kind of do that it hasn't been able to do. Now, for those of you expecting with these some kind of augmented reality thing with these, that's something that's probably going to come in further iterations of these things, not software updates are going to make these a little bit different. So if you're expecting to look into these and see kind of like an overlay or a heads-up display or icons and stuff kind of in there, that's not what this is. But it is still very, very useful, like I said, to just find things about your surroundings and to just ask general kind of questions, you know. Yeah, and then it's just very conversational and even after that, like I said, they're just cool glasses. They look good. They work well just as regular glasses as well, and sunglasses. So it's been absolutely fantastic. My only minor gripe would be that the battery life is maybe not super fantastic. But for the amount of time that I kind of spend wearing them, I haven't really run into any problems. And that brings up another thing as well. This is the case that it comes into. For those of you who are familiar to Ray-Bans, will recognize that this looks pretty well like a standard Ray-Ban case, with the exception that there is a USB-C port on the bottom, which is where you plug in to charge. The glasses go in here. Oh, here, I'll even show you. And they literally just pop into there, and you'll see a little. Hopefully, I can show you guys on video here. There's a little. Hopefully, I didn't give everybody the finger there. There's a little bit in there, so you literally just place these in there, and then they start charging. Now, you get quite a few charges. I believe Meta says that you get 7 to 8 charges off of this, which is pretty good, and you get about 4 to 5 hours um, off of a charge. So you get quite a bit for that as well. Now, before I kind of wrap things up here, like I said, overall, very, very positive experience, and it's been absolutely fantastic with these, great glasses and just a great companion and a really cool way to use AI with something that is, able to watch your surroundings and, just very easy to, again, just take a picture. The pictures that this thing takes, a lot of times I couldn't tell if they were shot on my iPhone with these. They're all just kind of mixed in my camera roll, and I wouldn't be able to say, hey, that one was definitely taken with the glasses, that one was definitely taken with the phone. Pictures look really, really good. An interesting thing that I will say, because as I had mentioned with Apple and their AI and it being kind of up in the air, what I thought was very, very interesting because a lot of people have been suggesting that Apple should maybe partner with somebody to kind of make their AI a little bit robust. What I find very, very interesting, so this is the packaging for the Meta Ray-Bans, at least for here in Canada, anyways. So there you go, Meta Ray-Ban and Wayfarer. Now, what's interesting when you turn the box around, this is what it says: made for iPhone. I only noticed this just the other day. Notice that it doesn't say made for Android, which, I mean, they will work for Android devices, but very interesting that it says very specifically made for iPhone. So, having said that, I know that the two companies haven't always necessarily seen eye to eye on things, but given how robust Meta's AI has been, and I've really enjoyed using it, and Apple having issues kind of with AI, and possibly looking at partnering with somebody, there it is, guys. A partnership with Meta and Apple, I think would be kind of interesting. They worked pretty closely near the beginning. I think Facebook was even a like a default app on the iPhone for a little while. They used to kind of partner up and then kind of parted ways a little bit. But this is an opportunity for them to kind of maybe merge, not necessarily merge a little bit, to partner up and kind of help each other out with these kind of things. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens. But I think it would be kind of a cool integration and partnership between the two companies to help each other out in areas that they need help with there. So we'll see about that one. All right, guys. Well, that about wraps it up here. This for this one here. Coming up, I believe it's in about a month or so. Like as I had mentioned before, we're looking at WWDC. Be interesting to see kind of what gets revealed there. Lots of speculations that we really won't know until the time comes, and we'll definitely be talking about here. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next one.